I need to fix my radio so I don't drop out of the sky anymore. It's really simple. I'm going to set this up. Why don't you go over that direction and get out of the way? I'm going to set this up so that, well, this radio is currently set up so that SG right here, when you pull it forward, it's a emergency motor cut off, as we saw. Okay. I don't want that. I got to have a little bit more idiot proof. This is a spring loaded switch, and I showed yesterday or in a video recently. What I'm going to set up here is this switch don't do diddly unless this one's held forward. So that means I've got to do two things before I can fall out of the sky again. I've got to hold this spring and then pull this forward. Now, that can be done if you hit something and you're coming through at the right angle somehow, and you kind of doing like this. I guess there's some way you could brush by both of them and get them going. There's nothing completely foolproof. But this is the best and quickest thing I can come up with. And the way it works in the setup is we'll just come right in here to that particular platform. And it's a simple and logical. Back to my computer days, we used to have to set these things up. We used to have to set them up with transistors, resistors. So we had an AND gate, and then we had to use those AND, NAND, NOR, inverters, registers, all that to make a computer. So what we're talking about right here is this switch SG. So, and what I'm worrying about SG is when SG is down in this position where it shuts off the motors. And the other one is SH. And I want that one for when it is in this position. And that creates a logical AND gate, or an AND. That's all there is to it. It's that simple. This is an AND function. Only when SG and SH will you get an output. That's your basic AND function. Now we're adding to this that only when SG is in this particular position and SH is in this particular position do you get an output. So L01 pops up as a value. That's it. You're finished. You have to go over and put it in your mixes. Now here's where I had channel 12 set up as my motor kill channel. So instead of SG here, we're going to come in here and we're going to choose max. Max does everything. He does the maximum amount possible. Max is a universal variable. You can just for source stick max up there and then come down in here and do whatever you want to. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch. And we're going to switch based on that logical switch we just created. Here it is. Logical switch 1. And okay. That's it. We've just switched our channel 12 output to the ANDing of two switches on our radio. When they're in this position and this position. Just simulate that on the radio. Let's say we need outputs F2. Here's our logical switch. Down here's our channel output. Now if I grab SH here and pull it forward, you see when I let go of it, it's going to go back to the off position. So I can't really demonstrate that switch unless I click this lock. Now when I pull that switch forward, for our purposes, it's going to stay in that position. Just understand, it's not in real life. It's not going, just in this simulation. So I'm going to unlock it. And you're going to hear when I pull this switch down, because I've got some voice set up here. I think you're going to hear it. I do. When I pull this switch down to here, which normally does my motor cut, you're going to hear voice. That's just a whole different setup in the radio, and I haven't fixed that yet.
Motor disabled.
But notice over here, channel 12 did not go high. Now, one of the drawbacks of this is this has become real sensitive right here, because if you pull this one now, you see logical switch in the upper left. I can't point to it right now because I'm holding on to that switch. Is activated and channel 12 will go high. Now I'm going to let go. And of course that switch falls back like it will in real life on the radio. Logical 1 fails. Therefore our channel 12 doesn't go high. Now if this is in any other position, SG is in any other position, it don't matter to the flight controller anyway. This can go wherever it wants to. This will never go high. This channel will never go high. The only time that channel is going to go high now is when this switch is held, and I can't hold it in this simulation unless I latch it here. When this is high, doesn't matter where this goes except for one position. Got channel 12 down here low, but when it goes to right here, I'm going to click this. You can see channel 12
Motor disabled.
Will go high and disable the motors on my platform. Now then, I think I'm actually ready to fly it tomorrow and get my notch filter, and oh man, it'd be cool if I could get an auto tune tomorrow and just kind of be done. Boy, this little notch filter ordeal was just but that's the way it is. First time you learn anything on the planet, doesn't matter what it is, don't run away from it. Keep fighting it. You may not win, but keep fighting it. I gained enough knowledge to know I probably couldn't win at this time. Same thing that happened to me on software problems and computers for years when the company, Adobe, Autodesk, all the big companies would not openly talk about their technical problems. When I worked for a couple of them, Tandy was one of them, we had an inch thick booklet of all the known problems with software that we were not allowed to talk about, because it would generate a lawsuit. Not because we were doing anything wrong, just because people on the outside would just latch on to any kind of information like that they could and say, oh look, they've known about this problem for 6 months. But when I call them on the phone, they say, oh, we don't have a fix for that. Well, it's true, we don't have a fix for that, but we're not going to get into it with you about how deep the problem goes, etc. We're working on it as hard as we can. Jiminy cricket. Wow, sometimes I guess I haven't completely retired yet, have I? Imagine some of the stress I had to go through. Okay, back to this. So you can see now how I have to hold that switch and that spring forward.
Motor disabled.
And it will. Now over here in the special functions over here for my motor disable, if I come over here and set this to logic 1, come on, where are you? There it is. No, that's not logic 1. If I set this to logic 1, come on. That's not logic 1. Here we go. Logic 1. Now I've got my voice fixed.
Motor disabled.
Yes, hush. So now, no matter where this goes, won't be saying a word. Oh my God, why can't I motor this arm? Oh no, no. Oh, that's right, I have to pull this spring forward. Oops. I have to pull the spring forward and then pull that.
Motor disabled.
Phew. Man, if I'd have had that on the Honey Badger, you've seen the video recently, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it wouldn't have landed on the used car lot next door and done $500 worth of damage. Boy, that was the worst day of my hobby so far. All right, guys, that fixes an extreme problem. Just simply, I mean, how hard can it be to and two switches together? Tell it what position you want them to be in when you activate a logical switch. And if you set up another one of these, you go in your drop down list, they will appear. So this is my final setup on this and how I'm going to use it. This switch has become a emergency motor stop pre-arm. So if I see I need to do the emergency motor stop, I'm going to flip this. So that gives me just a second to second guess it, and if I still think I need to drop all that money on the ground again, I'll touch that. So that gets around what I was doing a few minutes ago where I'm trying to flip them both at the same time. Or actually, for me, to tell you the truth, the reason I changed that up is because I found that muscle-wise, holding that and then trying to come in here with another finger and flip that wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. So if you're flying along and you go, oh, I mean, this is the big oh no. This ain't return to home over here. This is, oh my God, I'm going to throw a bunch of money on the ground. You flying along, you reach up and you flip that and you go, okay. So you just come back up behind the radio and say, okay. Because once you pull that high, you can let it go again. It's going to go ahead and motors will be stopped. Thank you.